to Artist Center City, where you meet the hottest and newest artists in your city. Today we have, oh my god, KIRU. What's up, KIRU?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here on your podcast, Artists in the City. Like,
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you are my podcast father. You started podcast before me, and I've been listening to your podcast, so it's like kind of like very honored for you to be on my podcast. But could you introduce yourself, please, to our listeners?
Yeah, so hi, I'm KIRU. All of a sudden I don't know how to act on a podcast. No, I'm really excited to be here. I'm a music artist. I am a creative entrepreneur. I moved to New York City as a teenager, just on a journey to explore myself, and in turn found that I could inspire other people to, embark on a journey of self-exploration for themselves.
Amen.
So, I mean, the most important thing though is the music.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm honest, everything comes from and back to it.
Yeah. I mean, I do have to bring up the beautiful listening party that had happened a week ago.
Yeah, a week ago today. Wow.
Isn't it?
Like, kind of now, right?
Yeah. It was, no, today's Thursday.
Oh.
It was yesterday. It was happening on Friday.
Is today Thursday, though?
Today's Thursday. It's not. Yes, about a week ago, exactly. You were right.
You know what's really funny is like, so I do a lot of like marketing, and there's a team that I manage for like physical marketing. Mm-hmm. No, like word of mouth marketing, I guess. Like throughout the city, and every day we go out, I never know what day of the week it is.
That's what New York is, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been living in New York?
Almost like a decade.
Oh, so you're a true New Yorker now.
I'm an actual New Yorker.
Yeah. 10-year mark that passed.
Yeah. Yep.
When did you find your passion for music?
Very, very young. Probably when I was, I kid you not, actually my parents would probably say when I was 2 or 3 years old. That's when I knew I wanted to sing. Mm-hmm. And the first song that actually inspired me to sing, because I only grew up listening to gospel music. So the first song that inspired me to sing is called Jesus is a Love Song. And it's by this group, the Clark Sisters. They're the longest girl group to ever be like in business, in show business, and like together. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. They've been together for over 50 years and they're still touring.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the song that inspired me to sing, and I would learn like how to control my voice to the way that the different sisters would, because I was a little child. I had a pipsqueak voice, so I was like, I could hit all of those notes. Today, I could hit them, thank God, but it's just not a struggle, but a challenge.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't really describe your new album as gospel.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, could you break down your style or what kind of like stories you want to convey through this album?
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a fair assessment. I think that are you familiar with gospel music?
Like,
okay.
Yeah, like sisters like holding hands,
like,
and then like harmonize.
You know what's really funny? And this is like, I will stop with the fun facts about this group, but their mother is credited with introducing and popularizing like 4-part harmony. Maybe it was 3-part and 4-part, but the use of multi-part harmonies within a choir, and that was like one of her claims to fame in the music industry kind of period, but definitely in the church. Gospel music is really a pillar of the Black community. It goes like way back. But my music, because like gospel is where my roots come from, it's inseparable from gospel. So if you actually like knew like gospel, especially gospel versus let's say like Christian music, it's just a different genre, it's a different vibe. My music is at the intersection of pop, rock, hip hop, and gospel. So there's always some soul in there. And I feel that when I listen to a lot of other artists like Gunna, Nicki Minaj, I feel like a very like gospel, almost like evangelistic tone in some of their music that you just don't.
In Nicki Minaj song, where she shakes her ass.
She's a very powerful
gospel
voice, just the way her delivery. You know.
Okay.
I feel like sometimes she's rapping and she could actually just get up in the pulpit and say some of these things.
Yeah,
you know,
I would never.
And not just the gospel songs. You know, she did like that Tasha Cobbs. She's like, you know, what she did a song on a Tasha Cobb's. She did a verse on a Tasha Cobb's song. She's like, got the spirit or the power of life and death coming out my tongue, something like that. But anyway,
that is deep though.
But that's like literally scripture.
Okay.
And a lot of artists use like scripture. Rap artists use it, like Glorilla. You would never know if you don't like know the Bible or you don't have a background in like, especially in the Black church. But like Glorilla is one of her biggest hits, Tomorrow, that she ended up doing a remix with Cardi B. That's like literally tied to scripture. So it's really interesting to see. And that's how I've listened to a lot of different artists and just explored how they weave all these different things together, because I love the multi-genre, the Ye, the Lana Del Rey, the Frank Ocean, the Coldplay, the Beyonce. You know, all of these artists, they meld these genres together. And so I found that my style is really at that intersection. It's an alternative sound, but it's at the intersection of pop, rock, hip hop, and gospel.
It was very dancey. Yeah. In the beginning, I think it was like the first or second track, and then you got people to dance together with you. And I'm like, yeah, I can dance to this. I'm going to dance to this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Can you describe how your listening party was?
Yeah.
It happened in Cooper Park in Brooklyn.
In Williamsburg. My favorite neighborhood in all of New York. I would say that, and obviously, like, we've talked about just like the night in different elements leading up to it, and you were a big part of that night. But I think the way that I can easily describe it to everyone kind of going forward is just, it was an amazing night that everyone had fun except me.
It happens. You were producing your own show. You had so many things to worry about.
Yeah.
And I felt that you were not having fun. I don't know if you remember that part, because we were sitting on the grass and like, you gotta have fun.
I remember our conversation.
Yeah. It's like, KIRU, you gotta have fun.
Yeah.
But it happened to me.
Well, I mean, you know, I'll probably ask you a question after this, but to sort of start it off, just my frame of thought right now, it's I am a firm believer that if you have a vision and you're willing to put in the work and to execute and to bring it to life, you deserve to manifest what you desire.
Sure. Yes.
You know, and there's a ton of work, there's a ton of sacrifice. I don't believe in your dreams coming true without sacrifice, but I do believe that you know, we're worthy of those successes and those experiences. We just have to work towards them, and we can't do it alone. That's not, like, I don't think anything that's worth experiencing is done without partnership with other people. Yeah. I think there was a conversation that I had with another friend about the situation, and she simply said, you know, I know you're an extremely good communicator, and we had worked together like a few years ago. She actually like worked with me with like KIRU Universe, but she was like, you know, there's another element to it, and you might want to follow up with the people that you were working with and just see where their head was at in terms of comprehension of like whatever it was that you were aiming to convey. And it was a really good and timely talk that we had. And I was really grateful, because I was still unsure about like how I was going to move forward, because when I have an experience like that, I'm just like, wow, that was really shitty. Like I know exactly why. It's not necessarily being so led by my emotions. Like, I was not having a good time. If I go back and I look at the videos, I can see I'm begging for water. I'm like, this is wrong, why won't anyone help me? This sort of situation. We discussed this like weeks in advance, and it's like, why are these things falling apart? But that's like the nature of showbiz. Like that happens, some element of that happens at every show, on some level, I believe. And I've had this, like, 2019, I was the director of this huge fashion show. We had 200 models, actors, dancers, singers, and I was also the liaison between like our production team and all of the fashion designers that were a part of the show. there were so many moving parts, and there were so many things that did go wrong, things that almost went wrong that we had a strong enough plan for, but you can never eliminate every crisis,
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you the time that I did not have fun, the Destroy Fast Fashion show. Last year, New York Fashion Week.
Last year, New York Fashion Week.
February.
Yeah.
I
okay.
did not have fun.
You did
at
not
all.
have fun?
Yeah.
This is an interesting development.
Yes, like that's what I was saying. Like
I did not know that.
Yeah, like I was not able to control anything. I mean everything. I thought remember the part where we took off the fashion show moment where we were like showing off our clothes and everything? Mm-hmm. I hated that.
Oh,
it
really?
cringed me so hard.
Wow.
Yeah, but everyone had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, what was your debrief like?
No idea. It was just I was just dying inside. But everyone has fun. I'm like, okay, all right, things are going well. But I'm not okay.
Did you have how many hands were involved in that?
Not too many hands, honestly. I don't think it was more. I think at the end it was less. Everything was under control, but I was anxious that it won't be under control, if it makes sense.
Okay.
But from your point of view, you felt like you were not under control.
Absolutely.
You didn't feel under control at all.
I mean, I knew that I was going to give a stellar performance. That's
you did great.
From a place
awesome.
of artistic discipline. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that we know, if all else fails, put me in a dumpster truck on fire, and I will put on a show like it's the last show I will ever put on.
You should totally perform with the fire, though. I can see that happening.
Pyrotechs, get at me. But no, I think that it was just having to do all the other parts of putting it together, and then also having to do other people's job on that night. And then having to get up and perform.
It's hard to be a producer and a performer at the same time.
Yeah.
Was that do you think that was kind of because you're producing the show, mm-hmm. You're running it while performing.
Yeah. In an ideal world, I would have never touched the mic until I had planned to be using the mic that night. And it was a listening party. It wasn't supposed to be an hour of me performing. It was supposed to be a listening party.
I think it went well though.
I know everyone had a great time.
Yeah, the performing part was the best part of the listening party.
So at least there's that.
Mm-hmm. It really was. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, very much.
And I'm really grateful, as awful a time as I had in that moment. Everyone was having a good time, and I could see that. So it's not, It would be one thing if I was having an awful time and I was because I'm having an awful time, everyone else has to have an awful time. That's a shitty place to sort of to sort of act from, But mm-hmm. I was able to see that, and I think I did my best just to work with the energies that were there and honor people's investment of being there.
I thought it was very thoughtful the way you designed the show, as in you picked the right person to do what job. And when you made me do when you asked me to do the interpretative dance, I'm KIRU knows how I move, mm-hmm. And then you saw that,
Yeah.
You saw how I know, how I dance, and you saw me dancing with your specific music. And then I think that happened to many, even models, Mm-hmm. You saw the models and I'm oh, it's going to be good for this person. Photographer, this is going to be a good person,
Yeah.
It was a really good use of resources.
Yeah. Key photographer, mm-hmm. Kevin. Perfect.
Great. Great stuff.
Incredible work. Mm-hmm. When I thought about visuals for that record, you were the first and only dancer that came to mind. So that was a very small, to me, preview of what I would really like to produce. And so fingers crossed, the stars will align and we'll be able to move forward with this production. But absolutely, it was Always You. So I was really happy that came together, and I didn't get to see it because I was changing backstage, but
you just showed up in the middle of the song and like, yes.
Yeah, well, we need to practice dancing together more because I'm not really like, I dance by myself like in my room. I'm more of like, I jump up and down like da 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 da, like Michael Scott in The Office type of dancer, but I would really like to work on it. And this record, this whole album, there's a strong sex forward, sex positive sort of vibe that's coming into play for me musically. That wasn't there on Saints in the Garden. Saints in the Garden was a little more abstract, like big smile, hot body, cute face.
I love that. I loved every single moment of it.
Yeah.
It was very intricate rhythm. That's the best way to explain it.
Wait, Saints in the Garden or this new album?
No, the specific track.
Oh, this specific song, Raw.
Yeah.
Raw FM is actually the title of it. Yeah.
It felt it was very dancey. Yeah. But like speaking of like this type of dancing, I've been listening to your track, I Wanna Scream Out Loud.
Yeah, I want to scream sometimes.
I wanna scream sometimes.
Scream sometimes. Yeah.
Sing it again.
I wanna be by myself. I overanalyze. My so-called friends are no help. Is there a place for me? Is there a place where I can be completely free?
Yeah.
That's so low. It's like,
it was
whoa.
nice. It was nice. I felt that today. I'm like, I want to scream.
I want to scream
sometimes.
Scream,
yeah.
I wanted to scream that night.
Yeah?
And I did. Whenever I like walked away like to get things with Richie, who was the manager that night. Shout out Richie if you see this. Richie. Love you. Thank you so much for everything. That was my safe space to just let out all of my frustration. And that's how I had the capacity to come back to the party and be able to do. I think that's really important, is having safe spaces. And if we did this like episode closer to that day, like after I was sort of, then you had gotten more a closer sort of look at how I was processing what was going on. I think in the future, as like we continue like doing what we're doing, you're a comedian, you're a dance artist, you are so many things. You're an extremely talented and disciplined artist. There's a lot of different ways for your career as an artist to grow. And I think that as that happens, there will be more moments where you're on camera and you're being interviewed and people are asking you questions. And as that sort of production increases, there's less space and time for you to sort of hide like the real-time shit that's going on in your heart and your mind.
I'm learning.
I think though that if we are mindful about it, like I'm really mindful about how I process these things, and with that I know there was a lesson that I was supposed to learn that night. There are lessons that we refuse, and I said this on my podcast way back when, but the podcast is coming back, by the way, but that's a different story for another day. There are lessons that are presented to us that we either consciously or subconsciously refuse to learn.
Okay.
So in this particular case, it was a lesson of holding people accountable for really like understanding or carrying out. I think everyone came there with the best intentions, and they wanted to be there, right? There are certain things that fell through the cracks that shouldn't have fallen through the cracks. And I think that from what I understand, and I've had conversations with most of the people who were behind the scenes for the event, it was just a lack of comprehension or a lack of preparedness.
But one thing to note is that everyone was there to support you. Like big time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then
absolutely.
Yeah, and then that was the love that was the feeling that I was getting in the entire party. And like, we're here because we love KIRU.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
I think that's incredible too, and I'm internally grateful for that. I think the lesson for me though is to hold people, including myself, more accountable to ensure, like guarantee that there's comprehension there of like what needs to take place.
Okay.
Because things like this was an expensive production. It was a very intimate production, and it was really awesome for what it was. It did not meet the expectation. So from a business perspective, like that really was it was sort of a setback. From a life perspective, every failure is a lesson that can propel you forward. So it's not it's not a loss.
Yeah.
It's a lesson on the journey.
Yeah.
And there were amazing things to take from that. I think above all is that there are people who love you, who are there to support you, and there are new people who now love you. And it's like their world has been changed because they've seen you, they've experienced you, and they were introduced to you by someone they know and trust. Most of the people who were there. Some people just saw something around the city, they scanned it, and they showed up. That was also really cool.
That's nice.
But yeah, I think the lesson, and this is, I think, incredibly important for independent artists, for starving artists, wherever you are in your journey, there is a need to hold ourselves and the people that we're partnering with accountable, to ensure that we're putting our best foot forward.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Because it's like, as an independent artist, you get to self-produce yourself a lot, and then you are bound to make mistakes, and there will be hiccups, but you get to learn more and more. I feel like the more I do shows, I feel better with not going as planned. Because there are so many things that could happen, especially in comedy, right? Like some people don't show up, or like there's only like 2 people in the crowd, or so many things could happen, but you just gotta improvise through the way, and don't forget to have fun. It's so hard when you feel like, oh, this is supposed to be the best time of my life, but like it's not going as it should be. But it still will be the best time of your life if you look back at it.
Yeah, I think so. I will be very transparent with you. I refuse the doctrine of always making sure you have fun. I do think that always being mindful and present is sort of like necessary.
Yes.
Even if I'm not having fun, like I wasn't having fun at all by any stretch of the imagination that night. However,
but be there.
I was present with that. And I used everything that I was feeling to perform and to create that moment. And I knew it was being documented, so I would be able to see, like, that's a really beautiful thing to me. So even as frustrated as I was, I don't think that it matters what emotion I'm feeling, because I've been heartbroken, crushed, like, to my core. I don't talk about this often, but there was just like a year, not a year, but like a few months, it felt like a year, where I don't know if you've ever been like heartbroken, like you spilled your heart out and you like shared, like professed your love to someone, or that's what it was. And so this person, it was an unrequited love, and it really just like crushed me. And even while I was going to bed crying, waking up crying, I just felt that it was so beautiful how deeply and profoundly we're capable of feeling.
This is Scorpio shit.
Okay.
Scorpio shit. I feel that. I tend to romanticize my own like strong feelings.
Yeah.
I'm like crying, painting, and I think to myself that like this is so cool that I'm crying painting.
Yeah, it really is though.
Yeah, it is. Emotions are beautiful.
They are.
Emotions are beautiful.
They're such a big part of our lives, and I like to be fact-informed, feelings considered as I move through life. Yeah. So I don't like to be led by my emotions. I do like to be present with my emotions, though. Feel them, express them.
When making music, what was the biggest, when you're making this album, what was the biggest feeling that you were driven by?
I think the biggest feeling, is curiosity a feeling? That's a feeling, right?
Whoa, that's deep. That's poetic.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's what it is I think about like the different songs that are on that album.
So you were diving into some sort of feelings that you were having. Like you don't know what it feels, but you're just diving into it because you're curious about it?
No, not necessarily that. Well, the title of the album, which is being announced later tonight, by the way, is A Weak Constitution.
Okay.
And as I go through it, I think there's just a lot of seasons in my life where I have been challenged, and I have these ideologies or these philosophies, these perspectives, and I'm so strong-willed and hard-headed in many of those philosophies or those constitutions, if you will. And I think that sometimes life has a way of just revealing weaknesses in those constitutions. Like, I would never, or I will always. Those types of constitutions are always the first to go. You know? Like, I think that I found cracks in the strength of my constitution to put music first over the last few years. And I had to figure that out. It was like every new time or every new friendship or acquaintanceship that I had where people, they want to be around you, right? They're like, oh my God, KIRU, come here. Let's do this. Let's go to dinner. All of a sudden, I'm spending all of my money in restaurants and none of it on music. I'm spending all of my time with people who want my time, and I want to be hanging out with these people. I have a good time with them. Not all of them, but I I decided to be with them, right? As opposed to being in front of a mic or in front of a keyboard or in front of a notebook writing. And there is a time where it's important for you to really just be present in like the world and like live life. You know, I listened to her. She gave a speech at like NYU graduation last May. And it was a really beautiful talk because it was super natural. She didn't write anything down. She was up there. It was a lot of and yeah, but it was very just authentic to who she is and where she was in life at the moment. And she was like, yeah, I took some time off just to live life. Otherwise, what would I write about? I think there are seasons for that. It's really important to be inspired, and it's important for us to be disciplined enough to get back in the studio, whether we're painting, we're writing, we're dancing. It's important for us to make those commitments. And I found myself if I wasn't careful, I would find myself disgusted with like just always being with these people. And if I was really not careful, it would turn into sort of some contempt or disgust for that person or the relationship I had with that person versus me just setting the clear boundary. And some people get upset because I don't answer the phone. If you're watching, you know, that's not going to change.
Not going to change, but no hard feelings.
I just
don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, like in reality, there are more important things going on. And
you're prioritizing you and your
exactly.
music. Yeah.
And for those people, they know it's no hard feelings. And for people who are friends of mine, who are supporters of me, this is what they have been expecting, and this is what they should expect going forward. If we're not working together, you know, we'll probably see each other less when I'm in an intensive work season, you know, and I'm independent. So like I have to get it like out of the mud, basically. It's not being handed to me. There's no big check coming down from corporate. It is, I need to work. That's the other thing. I need to work and make money. And then I need to invest that money in opportunities to move closer towards the direction of my dreams.
It's the star energy. You're like, my presence is the gift, and your time and is the biggest resource that you have.
It's true.
So you're very selective about how you want to utilize your time.
Yeah.
I feel the same way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that with you. Yeah. I really do. That's why I was like, you know, so honored to be on your show. And I really do appreciate you taking the time to be a friend outside of all the things that we do, like on a stage or in front of the camera or whatever. Like, taking the time to be a friend. We check in on each other, make sure that we're good. We share updates, when we're inspired by each other, when we're rooting for each other, encouraging each other.
Yeah.
That's important.
Well, do you want to take this opportunity to discuss RFO?
Yeah.
Because RFO is all about connections and building friendship and supporting each other.
Yeah. So
what does RFO stand for?
RFO stands for Real Friends Only. So by law, we can only be run by friends. As
who actually
operation.
I want to talk to.
I think it's really cool though. So like all of our friends, they have different skill sets, and not all of my friends will want to be a part of the collective. However, there are my closest friends have all, at least at one point or another, been an important part of the collective, like being run. Officially, it's a nonprofit cooperative, a social art collective where people come together. We produce experiences. We've done a lot of photo shoots in the past. We used to, we still do have a blog, but it's not really like you would be writing or I would be writing necessarily. There's a team of writers from KIRU Universe that produce the content for that website.
Ooh, nice.
But that's really nice, right? Like to have that sort of growth is incredible. But yeah, right now we're really focused more so on events and supporting the artists that are members of the collective. So right now there's like, I want to say like 6 artists. And if you want to know who they are, you'll have to go to the page on Instagram, RFO Collective.
You have to go follow it.
You have to go follow the page. So yeah, we've been around for 6 years.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like more than half of your New York life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer 2018, I met with a friend for lunch who's no longer a part of the collective. Door is always open, but our lives take us in different directions. Without that friend, the collective would not have been launched because it takes at least 2 to start a collective.
Because it's collective.
But yeah, we started with like a lot of fashion photography and fashion writing, and then we changed course to expand into more just like philosophy, art, poetry, and always had a lot of photography. Like visual art has been a huge part of all of our projects. And yeah, it's just been a really cool journey.
I think it's similar to how I approach this podcast too, because I know that I've met so many cool people throughout my life in New York.
Yeah.
And I want to have like solid conversation about what the journey is like for my friends.
Yeah.
Or I just use this as an opportunity to meet new people.
You have so many dope contacts. Like the people that you've been putting out on these episodes are incredible.
Including
just
yourself.
Today, yes, that's true. Today though, I was watching some episodes. I was rewatching. I want to say it is Danny
Fallon.
Yeah. Okay, my top 2 episodes are Danny Fallon, which is probably number 1. He said something that was like Sunday service. Like I can't even like say what he said word for word, but he was talking about like the addictions that he had struggled with, and either he could have like the drug and no life, or he could have life without the drugs. And I had to play that back like 3 times. Like this morning I was like working at my desk and I was watching, I had it up like right in front of me. I was like,
wow,
wait, hold up. Like that just like went all the way through me. I was like, that's incredible.
Danny's deep.
That is incredible. And he's also really funny.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, Danny. I really appreciate that conversation. That was dope. The other one, Chris Payne.
Chris Payne.
Yeah, that was a
that
really
was a juicy episode.
That was.
It was a juicy
Both of them
episode.
were also very sexual.
The thing is, Chris and I, that was the first time I met him, like second time I met him. I met him at an event, and then we got connected, and he reached out to me like, oh, your podcast looks dope. Can I be on it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, this person could rape me, but let's have him on. Let's have him on. And then we talked about pussies and exes. It was awesome. And he did not rape me.
Yeah, for the record.
Chris, not a raper. He's only a rapper. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's good. That's good to set the record straight.
Yes.
Yeah, just so everyone knows.
I also love that I just put out the episode of Jasmine.
Yes.
Oh, she's so adorable.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. And then like everyone's gonna fall in love with you now. Then. Like,
now
it's like
thanks everyone.
It's like
really
everyone
appreciate
is
it.
like, here's my dope friend. He's dope.
No, I really do appreciate that. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And I think we just like we go well together. So
Yeah.
you know.
You have a massive important person energy.
Thank you.
Like insanely important person energy. You just walked
Yeah.
into the room with your fire fit. I'm like, who is that person? This person is important. I need to get
I
to know
wanted
him.
to wear a hoodie, low key, like, but then I was like, I'm gonna be drenched in sweat if I do that. So I wore a tank. It's fine.
No. Whenever you walked into some sort of event,
No, I know.
you know what you do. You know what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're like,
Yeah, it's
Yes.
important. You know, I got advice as a kid that just always stayed with me. I used to walk with my head down, like as a little kid, and it was like a deacon at the church who was like, you should pick your head up, like wherever you go, pick your head up, your shoulders back. Changed my whole life. It wasn't about being a model. It wasn't about being a musician. It wasn't about anything other than pick your head up and see the world in front of you.
Make you taller, you think? You're so tall.
I'm like the tallest person in my
You're
family.
so tall.
No one's taller than me.
Definitely.
I did have a growth spurt in 10th grade, though. That was painful. So for every child out there, this is not a children's show, but for every parent or future parent out there, if your child goes through a growth spurt and they're complaining about growing pains, that shit is real. So I need you to take them seriously. It's just for the good of your relationship with that child. Take them seriously.
Didn't happen to me, so I felt like you are so tall.
If I didn't experience it, it's not real. I'm just kidding.
I think the growth pain for women is that you get the stretch mark.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hated that stretch mark. I hated getting it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's been stigmatized so much that we all view it differently, than we probably should. We don't view it as like natural or naturally beautiful by default because we were raised to view that as like ugly.
Yeah, I was like, my mom was like kind of annoyed. My mom was not annoyed. That's not a good word. My mom was like, you gotta like wear your cream. It's gonna last forever.
She told you to put that cream on, huh? Yep.
Oh yeah, my mom is so cutely judgmental. She's
At least
so
it's cute.
It's very cute though. She's like, what happens is like, so I one time talked to her that like I was complaining about a wedding that I didn't get invited to. It's like a beautiful wedding in like Cyprus or something, and I'm like, I wanted to get invited, but like, I didn't. And my mom is like, it's because you have ugly friends. And I'm like, Mom, that is so mean. I have cute friends too, and I looked up like my phone, and obviously I did not have your picture, and I'm like, I had a lot of other friends, and like maybe they could be a little ugly.
That's crazy.
So it was so mean, and then like I finally was on a phone call with my mom, and I realized I had a really cute friend next to me. And I showed her, and like, hey, Mom, she's a cute person. And she's like, yeah, I approve. Does she need Korean makeup from Korea? I'll get that for her. She's approved.
That's really funny.
No, it's just mean.
She is so
I have
unique.
to show her your picture. So
Yeah.
like, approved.
It's
Do you
approved.
want Korean makeup?
Yes, please send me Korea makeup.
It's gonna make you white.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll put it on just for her.
She's actually coming soon, mid-July.
Really?
Yeah. Hope you can meet her at some
I
point.
hope I can meet her.
Yeah.
That'll be so nice.
Yeah.
Aw. Aw, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did want to ask you about like where you're at. I know this is like an interview for me, but where you're at in like comedy.
Oof. I have to tell you this. So I am going back to Korea in August. Gosh. Only for a couple months.
Okay, good.
Hopefully.
Okay.
I hope to be back in November.
Yeah.
But my club in Busan Comedy Club, is now participating in a big comedy festival.
That's incredible.
that's happening.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's happening in Busan, actually.
Wow.
So I am going to go support and then hopefully participate in the festival. I mean, will be participating in the festival. So meanwhile, the biggest advantage of me living in New York is that I can have so many opportunities to be on stage. I cannot do that in Korea. So right now, I just want to be like funnier and funnier before I go back to Korea so that I can shine.
Yeah.
But like, what do you mean by where am I at in comedy? Like, are you saying like, am I very funny? No, I'm not. No. I don't think I'm killing it every night.
No, I just meant like on your journey, like if you would sort of articulate just kind of like where you're at. Like if I were to articulate where I'm at as a music artist right now, I mean, I think the word I had used earlier, like sex forward, sex positive, is probably the biggest change in my music right now.
Okay. Oh.
So I feel like it's just, I'm in a place of expansion, and I'm also just more explicit than ever before, and I really like that about my music. Love all my music, to be fair.
Every track was awesome.
I really am excited for this album. Like, if you've been listening to my music, if any of my listeners are listening to the podcast, which you should be, this is probably going to be your favorite album.
Amen.
Just like until the next one.
I enjoyed every single track,
Yeah,
so I
you.
definitely agree. I think I want to step a little away from being too sexual.
Okay.
I don't want to. I think it's been about a little over a year since I started comedy. It has been a lot of dicks and a lot of vaginas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's do less of that.
Yeah.
And I want to tell some good stories. I want to be a good storyteller about like some fun thing happened in my life, and then I would just, come up on stage and here's a story that happened that does not involve so much sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want
like
to be doing that. And my thing that I want to do is going back to the anxiety and everything. I am such an anxious person. I'm very anxious. That's why I work so hard.
Yeah.
Because when I'm working, I'm less anxious. I'm doing something. So it makes me less anxious. But I want to talk about anxiety in my comedy. Like, I never get off at the right bus stop. I always get off at the one bus stop ahead.
This is why I don't take buses, actually. You just struck a chord. Like, I avoid buses. I'm on Google Maps. I turn that shit off. I do not give a fuck about a bus. I don't want to see it. I'm not getting on it, because if I get on, I'm afraid I'll never get off, personally. Because I'm anxious about getting off at the wrong stop, so then I'm waiting, and then I wait too long. So it's the other way for you.
It's the other way for me. But like, I'm so anxious that maybe I'm already here, but like I have to walk one stop to go to my destination.
Yeah. I still get off at the wrong stop on the train too.
Yeah.
But it's easier for me to handle that than it is for me to handle like getting off at like an open intersection. Mm-hmm. That is a disaster for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I am very socially awkward, actually. So like I feel like, honestly, like even off camera, like there's probably I'll probably be a little more flowy in conversation when I'm on camera, even when I'm doing like the Think on These Things podcast. And part of doing that podcast like so much, and I practiced for like 3 months before I did the first episode, was to get familiar.
Really?
Yeah, to get more comfortable. I would watch back those episodes
idea.
And I was like, that shit is so cringe.
Yo, art is cringe, okay? It's like, yeah, you gotta go through the cringe moment to get to the goodies.
Yeah. And I love that. I love like when you're like, I mean, I don't necessarily enjoy being misunderstood. I just love like that is a natural part, and putting yourself out there there's such a beauty to that. And I love cringe comedy. Dry, witty, cringe comedy. My favorite show. Yeah, because you just like, you go out there and you do it. You tell these stories that like, I think I remember you probably told this in Korean, but you were talking about like something with your mom. I don't remember exactly what it was, to be honest, but I don't know, there was some element of like shut the fuck up in there. But it was like, It was like, oh, this is like weird. I don't think I would ever get on stage and talk about like my mom that way. But
it's like I became
you know?
a white girl. I was
Yeah.
I tell her to shut the fuck up.
It's like the nerve. Oh. So yeah, like I'm inspired by, you know, your drive to go out there and just make it happen.
I
in
just
comedy.
love the stage so much.
Yeah.
I'm forever grateful for comedy, for letting me discover the stage. Because back before comedy, I was not on the stage. The closest thing I was doing was the hosting the art battle. But like I was always when I'm dancing, for example, before comedy I would dance, and I would like try to like get people to dance with me because I'm not used to being on the stage where everyone's eyes are on me. But now I'm like, I'm dancing, you guys can't watch me. And that's because I got really comfortable on stage. So when I was dancing at your listening party, I knew I was eating. Yeah. I ate that shit up.
You really did.
I ate it. And then I'm like,
pictures were so fucking fire. I was like, oh my God.
Thank you.
Like, what? Who is this? I mean, I know, but like, it's just like, but also, okay, just because I have to say this, because I was also blown away. I did not know that my body looked that good. I did not know.
Whoa! I thought you knew.
So, no.
No.
And it's crazy because I do look in the mirror when I get dressed every day. I know I look great, but there are certain goals that I have. And so the things that we dislike are usually louder than the things that we like, or we pay more attention to those things. So, like, my summer bod is not here in the way that I imagined it. However, I mean, I also wasn't disciplined enough to bring it. I saw Lil Nas X in person at a show, obviously, not like walking down the street. But, and it was only for like 5 minutes, honestly, because I was working and I was really late to the show. But it was such a good show at somewhere in Midtown. Anyway, so I was there at the show. And I saw him close up because he came out into the crowd. And his body looks better in person than it does on social media. And it looks really good on social media. And I just remember, because I remembered thinking like, I had put up like a few people. He was one of the people that I was looking at because he was on this journey of like working out. And it was very on screen. And I was like, okay, like, you know, maybe I should use this as inspiration and work out more.
When you looked at your body in your pictures, I'm like,
I was like,
it's like,
holy
shit. This is
can I have
Lil Nas X shit.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But like honestly, like I was really blown away. So I was really glad. Because I was also upset like that night about, I was like, oh, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that, like about my look.
No, you looked awesome.
But thank you.
No one will notice but you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's for me to handle another time. But in reality, I looked so much better than I thought. And that was really, you know, encouraging. But anyway, yeah.
Do you have any artists that you like aspire to become? Like, do you have some sort of like role model?
Like in what sense?
As in like, oh, I want to put on performance like this person, or make music like this person. I don't know that there is like a one person. Well, actually, the top of my list will never change, even regardless of conversations you've had on recent episodes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely yay.
Yeah.
In my mind is definitely just one of the greatest artists ever to touch a stage.
I have been listening to and
it's the way you say it.
It's good.
Like, it's like, is this the Usher song?
I don't know.
You said it 3 times now. No, but Ye is like, he's just an incredible, there's no denying that. So it's
the way he writes, the languages that he's so, I think there was one music that like, it was just like 4 sentences about like his life. and it was so concise and so straightforward. I don't really know the lyrics on top of my head, but he just writes so honestly.
What was he talking about?
Fucking bitches. That doesn't narrow down.
No, I was like, But one of my favorite songs that is like really explicit, he's like, that's right, I'm in it and I can't get out of it. It's on Jesus.
Oh my god, I really wish I could just say.
I wish I could say what the words of that song were too.
Yeah, it's like I masturbated, I slept, I ate food, something like that.
Okay.
It's just very simple.
I actually don't know what you're talking about right now. For a second, I thought you were saying that you masturbated to the song, and I was like, yeah, okay,
no,
yeah.
I would never masturbate to so I'm sorry. But
I don't think that he's concerned about that. I want people to fuck to some of my records, I'm not going to lie. So that's a goal of mine. I think if you get, and I don't know, to be honest, like I've heard some people who've heard it say that they plan, like they're going to do that. They really love these records. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I'm just like not certain that this album has like it's reached that point. For some people, it's going to do it for them. Some people will fuck to jazz or they fuck to country. I fuck to hip hop. But I think that, and a lot of people fuck to R&B. So
that's my goal too.
I'm not an R&B singer or an R&B writer. I have the capacity to do R&B. It's just not the artist that I am, and I don't think that's going to change. But I do love like R&B artists. I just listen more to the 4 genres that I'm at the intersection of. Anyway, Ye is I think the highest. There are performances that I've seen that Ye put on, and I also like, because I don't want to feel compelled to learn choreography or do all that other stuff. I want to do what I want to do, and it's not necessarily like replicating something that he did on stage, more than it is just being free.
The motto that he has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I know how to command an audience. I know how to own a stage. Like I've been on stage for a lot of my life. Like I'm not a stranger to the stage. And that's part of how, like, when I walk out in the world, I know how to carry myself. I know that people are looking. I know, like, those things are just, and it's a part of, like, I came to New York and I had a vision for how I was going to dress, even if I had no money. I was like, I know that I need to look a certain way. Like, this is how I'm going to adorn my body and honor myself by looking good.
Yeah.
You know, even if I'm in a pair of sweatpants.
You're nailing it.
You know, thank you. And so, anyway, Ye would be the top of my list. I also love a lot of the work that Beyonce's done with like her staging, and they worked so meticulously on the Renaissance tour. And I remember just like watching that background story on the documentary. It was also really inspiring. It was also very conflicting because I was like, it just where I was in life, I was like, wow, I just really need to like work harder and place this higher up on my list. I need to be spending more time. Every song that comes out on this album, I've worked at least 40 hours on. And I think that, I mean, if you hear other artists, they'll probably say that that's obsessive and that's like way too long, to be honest. Like, I know, I mean, you just had Chris. He's like, I do a song in an hour, minutes, you know? Yeah. Like, and that's the norm for a lot of artists. For me, it was just a part of my journey. In the future, it'll take me less and less time because I'm working on a shit ton of music. There are 13 tracks on this album, and I have been
Did I listen
working.
To all of them?
No,
oh.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I've been working on like so much more, like probably 8 times that I'm currently working on.
Yeah, so you're basically like cutting the meat out for the good part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every album is like it's an experience that belongs together. And then, you know, as an artist who thinks in long term, you know, I'm a planner. I'm thinking about, I don't know why this keeps popping on. It's kind of weird. But I am thinking about my discography. So Saints in the Garden is an important album. I actually wrote a book to that album, but I don't know if that'll ever be published. But that was obviously years ago. Now we've got A Weak Constitution, and the next 2 albums are already written. So it's a very curated journey. That it's just like if YSL releases a product, they know exactly who is going to buy that product and what they're going to buy after that. And, you know, Chanel and Fendi, they have 8-year-long customer journeys already mapped out.
Yeah.
I'm not a corporation, and I don't have like the team to really like do exactly that. However, I do have an idea of like, okay, if a person comes to an RFO event, this is likely where they're going to be introduced to my music. It might not be the whole night. It might be the DJ's thrown it into the mix that they have during 6 hours, and you hear me, you know, like 4 or 5 different times throughout the night. And you'll also hear other really dope artists. You'll hear the songs that are most irresistible for that moment in time, right? So then most likely they're going to want to go and find that song or find that artist, or we might overtly promote that artist, right? And then maybe it's, you know, there's like an art installation that I have like a partnership with that venue or that artist, and like there's activations that are put together, and that's like the marketing beyond social media, because social media is like this behemoth of a task for the independent artist, and it's important to be on social media. It very much is. So I would never like deny that or minimize that. And I need to get some, I don't know, inspiration, encouragement to get on TikTok. I keep saying that I'm supposed to do it. I have one other friend who like gained a 10,000 follower like count out of nowhere just by doing a bunch of like acting.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about the manifestation videos that you did? It kind of
affirmations?
Affirmations, yes. And then those were kind of like the building block of your podcast. Think on these things, don't you think?
Well, so not the... Well, actually, yes. Okay, you're right. Because I was about to say something different. The constant like posting those videos, I had determined that like the best way for me to really make the most of the affirmations was to do those like 30-minute sit downs and have an actual conversation, or some sort of moment where people could consider like what is the actual utility of this affirmation versus me just repeating the affirmation 3 times. Anyone can do that, and people do that, and people have gotten famous doing that. That's fine. It didn't take off the way that I had envisioned on like the reels or the TikTok videos. And after doing it like several times, because there were several iterations, and I'm the king of archiving content. I didn't, it was another thing where I wasn't enjoying it. I felt like it was a massive investment of my time to sort of put that together, and my heart wasn't in it. I wasn't present with that. My heart was in Think on These Things. And the only reason that stopped was because it needed to stop, because I needed a break in my life, because I was going through some stuff. And I just didn't have the capacity to do the show. When the show comes back, it's going to be, like I said, I'm in this expansive moment of my life. It's going to be a little more expanded. It's not going to be longer as a show. 30 minutes is enough. But
it sometimes goes until like 2 hours, no?
No! Oh my God! Do you just listen to episode after episode?
There were some episodes that were long.
There is an episode that I don't think it was 2 hours, but I definitely have had one that was at least like 40, 45 minutes long.
Really?
I don't think there was one that was 2 hours long.
You can't talk for 2 hours alone.
You can't.
Yeah, it's hard.
You can, especially if you know what you're talking about, but
I can't.
It's not really...
Yeah.
No one wants to listen to 2 hours of one person. Like, raise your hand, class. Like,
sorry, I was making that up.
No one's going to listen to that, but...
I'm a fan of your podcast.
Thank you so much.
Like, whenever I just like need whatever wake-up call that I need to hear, I just go to your podcast, take a random ass episode, and I'm gonna just take this lesson.
You know, and it's crazy because it's some things that like, I'm not the type of person who is, and maybe this will change in the near future. We don't know, because I think a lot is changing with just like the way that I'm sort of feeling a little emboldened in certain situations. I've always just been socially awkward though in a lot of situations like these. I've just not been that person who's going to say like, you're wrong. Like I still don't really see the utility. I haven't been in a situation where I felt like, yeah, I should have told them they're wrong. Like I've never thought back on a conversation and been like, I should have said, you are wrong. I have thought, as I've processed what they said and considered what they said, that like That's batshit crazy. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
So instead, you made a podcast?
So instead, once I've been able to ponder, because it's never about one conversation or one person, right? It's about the amalgamation of experiences that have allowed me to understand one thing or another in the way that I do. And so I'm able to articulate it on the show.
Honestly, the show did the work for me because, I mean, I obviously have daddy issue. I want someone to tell me what to do.
Don't we all?
Like, you're wrong. Here are things that you should be doing.
Well, we do all the issues. I waited too long. Anyway, yeah. So the show really works, right?
It spoke to me. It spoke to everyone who has daddy issues.
I'm not going to call you and be like, Minji, you need to...
Instead, listen to my podcast.
I need to work on, though, like, in, there are situations, you know, that call for a little more aggression, and I've not been the most aggressive that either I want to be or the other person wants me to be. I'm talking about sex. There's nothing else that I really want to be more aggressive in personally, other than business. I want to be a little more aggressive in business. I just don't know if I've graduated to that level of aggression just yet. I think that I'm much better, like, again, with holding people accountable. But, like, yeah.
Then what's your goal?
What do you
as
mean?
a music artist or for this album? Like a short-term goal.
For a short-term goal for this album? I mean, I just want to... I mean, I'm really independent, like bare bones independent, and Spotify will not pay you a single penny. Not that it was worth much what they do pay you, but
I don't get paid either.
They pay you absolutely like nothing. It's like 0.04 cents per 100 streams, and they refuse to pay any artist who has less than 1,000 streams on a song. So it actually is quite the undertaking to like go from, let's say, an average of 300 streams on a song to an average of 1,000 on a song. So that is what I'd like to accomplish with this. I mean, overall, in all of the streaming platforms, it was during COVID, so it was also a plus for streams. We had, because there's a team of people. It's never just me. Most of it, like the writing, the recording, the performance, like that's all me. I do all my own stunts, so there's no one else screaming or moaning or harmonizing on my tracks.
I did,
Yet.
I participated in a way. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
You did that. So
I was waiting for that track to come out, but I didn't get to listen to that.
It was very sad because people did not submit.
Not everyone.
2 out of like 10 people submitted, and so I was just like, what am I gonna do with this? And so mixing wise, it just didn't make sense for me. And so I think maybe, and that was another situation where that song was a very like, it was so personal and like close to what I was going through in that time of life. I just emotionally couldn't even move forward with the things. Come back to you. Yeah.
Come back to you.
So I'm trying to remember the key, but it doesn't matter. If I go away, may a part of me come back to you. If I go away, may a part of me come back to you.
Yeah.
You submitted such a great take to that song.
I did.
You have such a good voice. I heard you're coming out with an album yourself.
It's going to be a very, very slow progress.
Save the date.
And okay. There's like one song that I really love. It's about anxiety. And how does it go? Anxiety, drinking coffee, smoking cigarette, anxiety, something like that. We'll figure it out. I am nervous. I'm like not very musically open yet.
The day is coming. The day is coming.
I am soaking it in your energy. I'm using you. You don't know that? I'm using your musical energy.
that's what we're here for.
Right?
People frame that in such a like nefarious way. It's
No,
not,
we just feed
that's
off
what
of
we're
each
here
other's
for.
energy and
That's-
inspire each other.
Yeah.
Real friends only.
Real friends only. Yeah.
I think we should start to wrap up the pod, but I asked this question to everyone on the pod. Why should people know about you?
Why should people know about me? I thought about this, well, not this question earlier. I just had a thought earlier today that to encounter me is to know that dreams come true. And I want to be careful not to define that.
Deep shit.
Because that can mean so many different things. People have given me their own experiences. I could say that it's, to encounter me is in some way to know that like a dream of mine has come true. Like, for some people, it's like something they needed was fulfilled within their moments of encountering me. I know that has happened for me with other people that I look up to. My late Uncle Willie, the greatest mentor I ever had, which, by the way, June 28th would have been his 64th? 63rd birthday, I think. I mix up the timelines. It's math. Anyway, he was the person who helped me to articulate what I was passionate about, to be honest about what I was passionate about, because growing up in the environment that I grew up in, I was discouraged from being honest about my passion and my dreams. And I was made to feel that was not just insignificant, that it just like, it was just completely like wrong. So I was really grateful because he changed my life just by being who he was. And to know him or to encounter him was to know that dreams come true.
So people who's listening to this podcast will be like, I know that my dream's going to come true.
I know that it's possible. That dreams come true. Right now. And I want to encourage you, because it does take a lot of work. Because that was, 10 years ago, right? That I lived with him for a very brief period of time. He was a pastor, a community leader. They made a holiday after him after he died. It was really,
He's a big deal.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But definitely to me. I think no matter what, it's just like that changed my life. So why should you know me? To encounter me is to know that dreams come true. Go listen to my music.
Where can we find your music?
You can find it wherever music is available for streaming and downloading. So if you're a YouTube music person, we got you. If you're a Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Rhapsody, Deezer, Pandora, it's there. Amazon Music, go get it.
I've been listening to your music many times today, so it was on Spotify. So everyone, go check him out on all the socials. And KIRU, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Oh, that's at High as Kai. HIGHASKI. Okay, I'll see you
heard
there.
them. You heard him.
Anyway, thank you so much for having me. Maybe, I don't know if there's like a reprise, but like a year from now, we can like sit down. I don't know what your parameters are, but the show is like on the rise.
I'm very happy about this show, and I'm so happy you're a part of this journey. And I cannot thank you enough for supporting and uplifting me throughout the whole journey. Yeah. I hope to do the same for you.
Thank you.
Yes, we grow together.
Yay!